right. We want to keep time and be concise, so I'm just going to get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the CRIO Partner Expo. My name is Nikki Gandhi, Associate Director of Community Engagement at CRIO. Some of you have been with us since Monday, so for those of you who have, welcome back. We also have a lot of new faces that will likely be joining us soon for the first time. So let me just take a few seconds here to get everyone on the same page. If you are new here, CRIO is a site-first CTMS and eSource platform, all built for the way that research sites actually work. And the Partners Program is a natural extension of that platform. It's a curated group of over 32 and counting vetted site technology service vendors, handpicked because they plug directly into CRIO, and as a result of that, they solve real problems for sites without adding burden to their workflow. So everything from finding and converting patients, lightening sites' operational loads, and growing site businesses, all of them encompass those services. And so the expo by default is 4 days. This is day 3. We have 22 sessions overall. We have 5 today. We're going one partner at a time, but really focused 15-minute concise sessions. So you can see exactly how each one works and decide for yourself if you're a site, if that is a fit or a solution that meets your need. By the end, you'll walk away with a clear map of where each partner might fit into your site workflow or understand what partner tools high-performing sites are using and how they're using them. I know there's a very different gamut of reasons why people are joining. So whether it's education, just to stay in the know about what's going on in the CRIO partner ecosystem, or you're actively looking for a solution for any of your operational or recruitment gaps, those are all great reasons to be here. For those of you who have been with us for the past few days, you know what these past 2 days have turned into. Again, 5 sessions back to back, sharp, no fluff walkthroughs on the tools and services that our sites are using today from the ecosystem. So really quick, what's special about today's lineup, it actually doesn't just live in one lane. Every track we built the expo around is one of 4. It's find your patients, convert your patients, lighten your operational load, or grow your business. So today and the rest of the days, but today especially with the variety of partners is a really good snapshot of the entire site journey, almost the entire site journey from start to finish. So let me just share my screen really quick and go through today's agenda. All right, so day 3, we open with OMNI CRS, and they are going to show you how to get high quality pre-qualified leads flowing straight into CRIO without having to learn actually a single new piece of tech. From there, Coreforma will step in to show us what it looks like when a fully managed CRIO services team takes real operational weight off of the site plate. And then we have Accelerate Recruitment Services. They're going to walk us through their AI-powered recruitment and engagement solution from first contact all the way to enrollment, also written directly into CRIO. Then we hear from Healthcare Business Associates. They follow with a session on fractional business development support. And then we close the day with Bond Health, showing how to identify the patients most likely to actually complete your study. So your site team spends less time chasing the wrong leads. So ultimately, just a couple quick notes about the structure of the expo. For those of you who are new and just joining us, we have 5-minute breaks between every session. So that's your time. Just grab a quick cup of coffee, water, just finish some of your data entry. So there's some time built in between sessions. And then also at the end of each session, there is a poll, and this is your expo, your experience. So there's a few different options that you can choose from in terms of how you would like to connect with that partner and whether it's relevant for you. And then the last thing is that at the end of our sessions for the day, we have a quick survey. We'd love your feedback on your experience as an attendee, the Partner Expo, and we want to know what we can do to make it better for next year. So that's all. And without further ado, I am going to introduce George Lott from OMNI CRS as our first presenter. Yes,
Awesome.
perfect.
Cool deal. Thanks, Nikki. Great to see everyone today. Thanks for joining, of course. This is my second year doing CRIO's Expo, so I'm super excited to chat with you new folks. For those who may or may not know me, my name is George Lott. I lead business development for OMNI Clinical Recruitment Solutions. I'm a PA by training. I worked in thoracic radiation oncology, and I've been in research for about 8 years now. Been focused on patient recruitment for the last couple of years. So really excited to share with you guys how Omni is making a difference working with CRIO as an integration partner, how we can make your guys' life a little bit easier trying to find patients and get them enrolled into studies. So to start, just a bit about Omni. So we are a performance-based patient recruitment. So we deliver pre-qualified protocol match patients who are enrollment ready, ready to get into trials with like high intent. So we're really focused on reducing screen fill rates and recruitment costs for sites and CROs. That's primarily who we work with. And our big focus is kind of, crossing these obstacles that we all know exist of trying to find patients. So patient survey fatigue is a big one that we do because we own and operate the entire model from building the online digital screeners through running the ad campaigns, through retrieving medical records, nurse-led pre-screening, and then delivering, like I said, enrollment-ready leads and participants right to the site. We've been recruiting for clinical trials since 2018. This data was as of last year, so it's a little bit updated now. We're looking at around 45 plus therapeutic areas. We've delivered over 1 million qualified referrals at this point, worked in a number of different study indications. And we're very glad to have most of our leads have an 85% pre-screening pass rate and then actually enroll and randomize into our studies. This is really kind of the workflow of our enrollment ready leads. So like I said, we own and operate the kind of end-to-end model. So we operate in lead generation. So we analyze the protocols, all of your I&E criteria, and then build really great logic and campaigns for actually finding the patients. And then as we work through, we are able to automatically retrieve medical records, review those with our nurse-led pre-screening, confirm eligibility, and then the site-ready handoff, that's where the CRIO integration comes into play. So we have no additional tech stack. So we are not like a SaaS company. What happens is once leads are qualified and confirmed eligible, they go through the API integration through CRIO and go directly into the inbound leads section of your CRIO portal. So you don't ever have to log into another system or log in somewhere else to find medical records. We're able to push all of that data directly into CTMS. So it makes it really easy for the recruiters and the patient engagement teams to not have to worry about another tech stack or tracking another password. And then your leads go right into not contacted. So you're getting them in real time. As soon as they qualify and we get them pre-screened, you get them directly to your site. This is something that we've rolled out across a number of partners recently, and it seems to be going really well. Where we actually get our patients from is kind of a diverse channel mix. So core, of course, is social. So we use Meta. We also have aggregator sites. We have our own internal database of leads that we've collected since 2018. And then we also work with some niche placements across mobile, social, and desktop different sites. So we really target the advertisements and the campaigns where patients will consume the content and where they will see it. So that may change where we place the ads to find patients, depending on what the TA is or the indication. Some of our different therapeutic areas, we've recently gotten very deep into oncology. We're running about 10 oncology studies right now, but we operate in almost every therapeutic area, minus cell and gene therapy. We don't do any cell therapies, but not yet. But even down to PED studies, complex neuro studies, we can pretty much do it all. Some of our samples of studies that we've run, lots of cancers recently. Like I said, we've done really, really well in diabetes. GLP-1s, of course, have been a big one recently. And last year, our numbers were very, very high in vaccine studies. So we do pretty well there too. This is how we measure our success. So we have a team, including myself and some account managers that really, drive our relationships with our clients to keep them, really, really happy with the results. So like I said, performance-based. So our commission is based only on performance. So there's no upfront fees for any of our site partners. You only pay for pre-screen referrals or when patients enroll or randomize into studies. We have an automated process for compliance. We have our own fraud department who monitors bot traffic and fraud traffic. Um, so we always have super high traffic quality. And then we have a growth team as well that will work with our clients to make sure that we're meeting your expectations. These are some case studies. This one was for 4 different vaccine studies, so anthrax, golden flu, RSV, and the 2 RSV studies and shingles. Just to kind of show the scale that OMNI can operate at. So we can operate at lower scales of, let's say 10 to 20 patients, but we can also operate upwards in the thousands of patients across large projects with CROs. So we're pretty flexible in how we work and depending on the number of enrolled patients that a site's looking for. So we can always build a project kind of from the ground up with what you guys need. This one was a large CRO partner, so we generated 1,500 pre-screened referrals in about 4 months. So not only can we scale to large volume or small volume, but we can also scale with efficiency. So we can find a large number of patients in a small-ish amount of time, 4 months, or we can spread out and do large volume over, if you had a trial that had a 30-month enrollment runway. We're very adaptable in what we can do since we own and operate the model. So that makes it a lot easier for us to make changes on the fly. If we need to scale down enrollment, if the site is ready to take more leads, we can change that as the site needs. These are just some of our partners. It just goes to show, we work with sites, we work with academic med, we work with larger site networks, down to even individual sites. Some of our smaller site partners are some of our best relationships. And we also work with other patient recruitment partners as well. So we're very flexible on the type of work that we can do if you're a single site with a single study, versus if you're a large site that's got a site network that's got 25 sites and you've got a study that's at half of those. We're pretty adaptable to do both ends of the spectrum. And we're always looking to, expand our client base with different types of studies. What may be difficult for you guys may be, fairly easy for us to find a good number of patients. So always looking to contact with you guys and see how we can do to lighten the burden a little bit on our site teams. And I don't know if I used 15 minutes, but that's pretty much everything about OMNI. And I really appreciate your guys being here and supporting us.
Thank you. If you have any questions for George, please do drop them in the chat now. And you'll also see a poll to indicate if you'd like to get in touch with George's team, or if you'd just like some resources on OMNI services. Feel free to indicate that in the poll. What type of or what budget are we looking at, George, for sites who are interested in your services?
Yeah, budget wise, it varies, of course, study to study, but most of our lead generation runs in the hundreds of dollars. And then, of course, depending on what the study is, the enrollment payment can vary. If it's oncology, of course, it's going to be a lot more complex. You're not going to pay an enrollment fee that you would pay for oncology anywhere near what you would pay for an eczema patient. So, kind of hard to say without seeing the protocol and how complex the study will be, but it's pretty close to market value, and I'd say it's pretty competitive. And we're fairly flexible to negotiate with our sites too. We get on meetings with clients fairly frequently. If we need to adjust pricing or adjust the milestones, we can set the milestones to randomization, or if they schedule their first visit, if they complete screening. So we're really, we like to hear from the sites about what's making it difficult to find patients, and then kind of working with them to see how we can fix that.
That's great. What does it look like from the time that a site signs a contract with you to actually getting their first lead? What does that start?
Yeah, so with digital, how we do, it's not normally, for lack of better words, kind of an instant gratification. The campaigns do take, I'd say, probably 2 weeks as a base to learn and optimize. But from there, depending on the volume of study of patients rather that we're looking for, it can go pretty quick. The campaigns take longer to optimize. Let's say if you only need 10 patients, that's fairly difficult, versus if you were even a smaller network of 5 sites that needed 100 patients for a study. So large geo-targeting and I want to say large volume, but let's say small volume makes it difficult. So, if you're a site in Boston and you're targeting 30 miles around your site, if we only have 100 zip codes and you only need 10 patients, that's fairly difficult to make happen. But if you've got, a larger radius, or we can do like a tri-state area, like we do that a lot for oncology, then we can normally scale up the geo-targeting and we can find kind of any volume as long as we have enough space to find them. But I'd say about 2 weeks, I'd say is the baseline, and we can get contracting done fairly quick on our side. I'd say 7 business days. We can create screeners in 48 hours. We can make changes day of, and it takes about an hour to take them live. So because we do everything internally, we don't outsource any of the work. So we have staff dedicated to make all the changes we need.
Great. Thanks for that info.
Mhm.
Feel free in the next few minutes to drop any questions you may have in the chat. But otherwise, we'll take a short break and we'll meet back here at 11:25 Eastern for Coreforma. All right, moving on to our next session. I'd like to introduce Andrew Sidori, founder of Coreforma. Take it away, Andrew.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Storr, founder of Coreforma. I'm going to talk today about value creation versus value collection. So every partner here is selling value this week, and there are some great partners that they're actually our partners too. So we'll tell you why sites partner with Coreforma and how to solve the value collection problem. All right. So in CRIO finance, coordinators are running visits, PIs are overseeing studies, sponsors are returning to high-performing sites. But nobody really asks, how much value did you collect on the value you created? Does anybody here actually know their collection rate on their studies? Gonna take silence as a no. So we're gonna go through a study today that we actually just worked on, and we'll show you how that site performed and how we fixed them. So we recently wrapped up an Eli Lilly study. They thought they invoiced about $1.35 million worth of work. Turns out when we came in, it was only about 1.23. So they've collected 91 cents on the dollar. They thought they had everything mapped in CRIO. Finance guy was good. eSource was good. Everything was triggering. They've sent their invoices along the way. All good. Turns out there was a lot of disconnections in CRIO between finance and eSource. So this is actually a screenshot of their budget configuration. So our finance guy, he went in and added some tracking procedures. All right, we got our repeat ECG, we got our repeat blood draw. And you can see that, it looks good. Everything we think is configured. All right. And here's what actually happened. So on the left, I got a picture of the eSource. Nikki, can you shake your head? It looks like it might not be moving. Is it moving? Perfect. All right. So we got a picture of the eSource here, and our finance guy went in at the site and he added his tracking procedure, right? Repeat/additional items. Well, if you know anything about CRIO and how base revenue works, it's not checked off at the visit. So the finance guy is thinking, oh, all the repeat revenue is triggering. We're invoicing it every month. Turns out it's not actually being collected because it's not configured correctly. So this study goes on for 17 months. Nobody notices that all the revenue is missing from these repeat and unscheduled visits. So when your source doesn't line up, CRIO is capturing nothing. Nothing was broken, but this is how the source was configured. One of the things that we also see is that these per procedure fees are extremely difficult to configure. You have different people configuring the budgets, different people configuring the source, the people at the sponsor. It's a different person that made the budget and designed the protocol. So the actual study functions as it should, but we didn't know that the configuration was incorrect. And here we have a beautiful budget from Icon. I actually rotated it 90 degrees. So I'm sure some of you have seen this before. So how do I get these items on the left per procedure in the CRIO, right? How am I mapping this? Um, I have to configure all these visits, all these procedures so that they can trigger anytime these procedures or non-procedure items are performed. And everybody wants more studies, right? So we got everything configured, and we're going to go back to this collection rate. So if we're collecting 91 cents on the dollar, how does that turn out as we scale? So that's just one study, but now we've got 5 studies. Now we've got 25 studies. Now we've got 50. We're leaving millions of dollars of revenue on the table. Essentially, you're leaving 10% of your study out there, never reconciled, study closes, sponsor no longer accepts payment. So I'm going to show you the 3 problems and how we break it down. And as my man Biggie once said, more money, more problems. All right, so we really have 3 silos for the configuration in CRIO, right? We've got somebody designing the e-source. So that person sat there with the protocol, the ECRFs, they built it on your template and SOPs. But that person is probably a coordinator and they're working nights and weekends and they're not dedicated to designing e-source. All right, site grows a little bit. We add an e-source designer. All right, there's no SOPs, there's no standard templates. Now our coordinators are seeing 2 different versions of e-source, based on how this person is building. Then we go over to finance configuration. So for most sites, you're probably designing your CTMS and your finance after the e-source is designed. Problem with that is nothing's actually going to connect in the end. If you don't know exactly how the e-source triggers, you don't know the protocol. So your finance person knows the numbers, but they didn't actually build the source. And then we have our third problem is the ongoing revenue management. So how do you actually know that the items that you performed are triggering? We see that most sites just do the revenue management, study payments at the end of the month. So, all right, it's the first week of the month. We're going to do all our invoices. Just going to throw everything onto an invoice that was in the invoices tab in CRIO. Never opened up a visit, never looked at the progress notes, none of that. The problem is it doesn't matter if your budget is configured 100% correct. Invoicing should be an ongoing task, reviewing visits. I don't think there's ever been a study where every item has triggered 100%. So I'm sure you've seen it where people put in the progress notes, oh, we actually repeated the labs, repeated the ECG, all that information. So you're actually leaving a lot of money on the table there if you're not invoicing on a daily basis. Now, this study went on for 17 months until we came in and found that $120,000. So what's really the solution? You really need one person, one team to manage everything. So at Coreforma, we don't create value. Your site has already created this value. We create value collection. We are making sure that every single dollar earned on your study is collected. Our team starts with the e-source. So we have a 2-step build and QC process. They set up the e-source and they are aligning the budget at the same time. So we're making sure every single invoiceable item can trigger and none of those items are having to be manually entered. We build this based on strong SOPs, strong templates. So we always get asked, okay, what therapeutic areas do you work with? We have an extensive library of therapeutic area templates and sponsor templates. I'm sure if you've ever worked on Lilly, you know some of those ECRFs at the end. If you have to build them, it's going to take you like 20 hours. So we have all that ready for you so that your data is clean. So a lot of people ask, how can you actually work with us? What if we don't want to hand everything over to you? So we have our total e-source management solution is where we handle everything in CRIO for you. We do the initial setup, the ongoing maintenance, the protocol amendments, and then we're doing all the study revenue management. With this comes a direct line to us. So everybody here has access to us. You can call us, text us. We're here for you. And then as you grow, you say, okay, I actually want to bring some of this stuff in-house. So that's when we bring in our total team transformation. We'll come in, audit everything you have, create a site-specific library for you so that you have a standard shell. That's one of the best ways to start with a study, building consistent e-source, updating it for the protocol and ECRFs. Then we do live training in office hours with your team. So whatever your team needs, we will train them on. And then we're providing them with a documentation and training wiki so that they have it going forward. They know where to find every procedure, how to configure every procedure, how the logic works, all of that information. And then we're doing a build and QC process. So your site is going to build, and we are going to QC their work, provide detailed notes and feedback so that when they're ready to go live on their own, they have perfect source. With that, we're going to go back to this finance part. We're going to train them how to design eSource with the CTA and budget at the same time, making sure every procedure level item will trigger automatically based on what the coordinator is putting in the source. And then you say, okay, well, this week we got 5 studies. Next week we got 10. What's going to happen now? We only have 2 people here. We stay on as capacity support so that we use your SOPs, your templates that we've designed, and can help you as needed. All right, so this is a map of the current Coreforma network. We have 38 research sites that are proud to be part of the network and our 4 strategic partners. So it doesn't end with just the total eSource management. We can increase your study revenue and offset all our costs with our 4 strategic partners. So we have a budget negotiation partner. We have 2 data entry partners. One is AI, one is human data entry, depending on your site's preference. And then we have a business intelligence solution to wrap it all up, give you forecasting, and give you reporting directly out of CRIO. We would love to see your site on our map, especially anybody in the Northwest there. We're lacking a little bit in the North. All right. I hope everybody was listening because there's a quiz now. So I'm going to take a second here, and I want everybody on the call to score their site. So if you answer yes to any of these questions, you get 1 point. If you don't, you get 0. And please put them in the chat. I'm assuming if nobody responds, it's a 0. 10. That's pretty good. We'll give you a few more minutes. Maybe some sites are embarrassed to say 0. Well, that stops today, and we can help you. So for anybody that didn't respond, I do have one more follow-up for you. So I want you to text me one thing that your site struggles with in finance and capturing in every build, and I want you to text it to me. That is actually my number there. We will let you know how to configure it and how we can help you moving forward. All right. Any questions?
Feel free to drop your questions in the chat.
Yona, I'm glad you put in the 0 and you're honest.
Yeah, thank you, Yona, for your honesty. And also for those that might play this back and watch the recording, if you're a 0 or lower on that poll, then definitely contact Andrew.
Yeah,
But
if somebody watches the recording, please text me. I want to see your score because that stops today and we're here to help you. All
feel
right.
free to indicate
Thank you,
in the
everybody.
poll if you'd like Andrew's team to get in contact with you, or if you just like some resources on Coreforma services, indicate that in the poll. It'll be up for a few minutes. Feel free to continue leaving any questions that come up in the chat.
You're very honest. So have that person text me. We'll help them.
All right. And In the meantime, we'll go to a quick intermission and meet back at 11:45 Eastern for our next presentation, which is Accelerate Recruitment Services. Thanks so much, Andrew. Yeah, feel free to
Thank you.
can still hang around if anyone continues to have questions in the chat. We'll look out for that. All right, let us move on to our next session. I'd like to introduce Johnny Irizarry, Director of Business Development at Accelerate Recruitment Services. Johnny, are you here?
I sure am. Hi,
Wonderful.
Nikki.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to take it away.
Awesome. Here we go. Well, again, thank you for having us. This is the second year in a row that we are at the Partner Expo by CRIO, and we're really excited to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. There we go. And are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you again. I'm going to start off by sharing a little bit about us and kind of jumping into how we integrate with CRIO. We've received such great feedback in the past from site sponsors into our integration. So again, we're really excited to showcase this to some of the folks that know about us and have seen our product and have worked with us, and then some that haven't. They could learn a little bit more about us. Some of our metrics here, we've reached over 62 million potential trial participants with over 2 million engaged and enroll. Now, obviously, the big fuzzword is AI. So we've implemented some features that are AI driven, such as outreach, communicating with the first referrals that engage with any of our ads or our campaigns within 30 seconds. So again, a little bit about what we do. Everything that we build is IRB approved, is all of the landing pages, all of the ads, all of the information that is patient facing. It's built in-house. We pre-screen these potential participants through a landing page that we, again, curate based on the study and the protocol. We automate a lot of these features through TrueView. This is where the integration with CRIO comes in. And then obviously we verify eligibility. We can do that by medical records pool, by our secondary screeners, and again, by some of our AI automation. So how do our referrals reach CRIO? So we have three different types of integrations. We have InstaPost, On Demand, and Live Sync, which was formerly our calendar sync. For InstaPost, essentially, as the referrals are generated, they immediately go into CRIO. You continue the workflow directly from there. So if you're, for example, more comfortable just simply utilizing the platform, you could just leverage us for the recruitment aspect, receive the referrals, and then they go directly and they're plugged into CRIO. For the on-demand, it's more a la carte if you'd like to utilize some features, and then eventually send the referral over to CRIO at any given point of the funnel. You could do that. And then for Live Sync is essentially a 360 connection. So both systems are always communicating with each other. All of the information that is being shared is posted from one place to the other. And this will allow you, again, to leverage some of the automatic features that TrueView has. And then eventually, again, you can continue the workflow with CRIO. So this is kind of like one of the most common ones that we see, just because individuals or the folks that are the recruiters, the schedulers, the front runners that are contacting these referrals, they are leveraging TrueView for that automation, for those automatic messages. We are integrated with Lyft. Again, if you're able, you'd be able to provide transportation, and you're essentially using TrueView as your one platform to get the referral for that initial screening. And then from there, obviously, you can continue anything else that's more study related or specific to the study in CRIO. So these are some of the examples for campaigns that we run and kind of like what the ads look like. So we start again at the ad phase. So the potential participant, they see an ad, they click on it, and they get sent over to the landing page. A lot of recruitment, it's done the same way. We didn't try to reinvent the wheel. We just focus on quality, meaning obviously if you're participating in a low back pain study, for example, images are important in what you're showing. And it goes for any study. You want to be relatable. You want to be relatable to the demographic. So a lot of thought goes into our campaigns and how they are built because it just takes a small little glance for someone that's scrolling through social media or on Google or Reddit, TikTok. I mean, anywhere that they are looking, and they see an ad, it's just a quick 1 second glance that they're going to have. And if you don't catch their attention in that glance, they're not going to interact with the ad. Um, so again, the landing page that we build are very custom. They're designed for results. We build them based on the protocol. We work alongside with the sponsor and the IRB to ensure that, again, everything is compliant. We build a rule-based pre-screening based on inclusion-exclusion criteria to ensure that the referral that you're receiving is fully qualified. These referrals, again, we ensure that they are truly interested. It's a fresh referral that has just seen the ad. We're not mining databases or looking for referrals that may have participated in a trial years ago and we feel like they may be eligible. This is a brand new referral that saw the ad, they interacted with it, and they signed up to be contacted. They're interested. This is a brief screenshot of what TrueView looks like. I'm going to actually share here briefly as well, just to show you guys a couple of the automations that we have on there and how they interact with CRIO. So this is essentially TrueView. This is the platform where the referrals are being sent to. So the workflow is the referral sees the ad. From the ad, they go to the landing page, they fill out the pre-screening questionnaire, they're qualified, and now they're sent over to TrueView. Now, again, based on the different integrations that you may elect or that you may have, you may not even see TrueView at all. They may just plug into CRIO right away and you do the outreach and the contact from there. But since our most common integration is our live sync, which is again a 360, both systems are talking to each other. This is why I like showing briefly the platform so you could see exactly what that workflow would look like. So we're going to use Roger here as an example. And again, all of the information here, the answer to the questions on the pre-qualifying form will be on here on the right-hand side, the referral information that they fill out online. Directly from our system, you're able to make calls, view text messages, listen to any voicemails. You could send emails as well. But the cool features come here once you begin working with this referral. So let's assume that you call the referral and you're leaving a voicemail. Once you select this option of send email, SMS, and callback, the system is going to automatically text them, email them, and remind you to call them back in 72 hours. Another cool feature that we have is once the referral is being scheduled, obviously outside of appointment reminders and appointment confirmations that we're sending out, you are able to provide transportation. Again, we are integrated with Lyft. So you're able to essentially add the address that they will be picked up at. It will let you know an estimated travel time. And from there, you will be able to let the referral know, hey, you're going to receive a notification from Lyft that you have to interact with. And this goes again into the engagement of the referral. Now you're ensuring that they're truly interested, that they really want the ride to be scheduled for them. And all of this, again, is being sent over to CRIO so you could follow along that timeline in both systems. So going back, and again, I'm not going to get too much into the weeds of it, but this is kind of like what that looks like, what that workflow looks like. So going back to the presentation here. So we order things by priority. Obviously, the referral that has signed up the earliest is the one that you want to contact first. That's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. You're going to be receiving, or they're going to be receiving all those scheduled visits, all those reminders. text messages and emails as well. We try to automate all of that information because we know that the recruiter or the individual, the scheduler, the front desk receptionist that's reaching out to these referrals, if they're working on multiple studies and now they have 50 different referrals that they have to call across multiple indications, they're going to get overwhelmed. So how can you simplify their process? What are things that you could do to make their life easier? And that's what we are doing, and that's the way that we think about it. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little one pager to take with you regarding our connection with TrueView and what we do, essentially, how the systems interact. And this lets you kind of evaluate what you have on your end in terms of CRIO, how you're using it. It asks you a couple of questions and it lets you determine which model will better fit for you. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Again, thank you so much, Nikki, for allowing us to share the great things that we're building together and for everybody's time.
Thank you so much. We'll have the poll go up in just a second. If you'd like to connect with Accelerate's team, or if you'd just like to stay in the loop and know about what's new or what services they offer, they can also send you a resource. Any questions for Johnny? Feel free to drop them in the chat. They're also, all of these partners are available in the CRIO partner directory if you are a CRIO user. So if you'd like to get in contact with them after this, or for those who might be watching the recording at home, you can always find these partners and connect with them in the partner directory in the Help Center. All right. Thank you so much, Johnny. He'll be sticking around, I'm sure, Johnny, for the next few minutes. In case anyone has questions, drop them in the chat, and we'd be happy to get you answers. Also, unfortunately, the next presentation, Healthcare Business Associates, they had to cancel last minute. So we'll have a little bit of a longer intermission, and we will meet back at 12:25 Eastern. But also in the chat, we'd love to hear your feedback on the Partner Expo, how your experience has been, whether it's answering the questions that you had or basically giving you the information on the ecosystem that you were looking for. And we'd love your feedback to improve next year. So I'm going to drop that survey in the chat. It's literally just 2 questions. It'll just take 30 seconds, but that will really help us make your experience better next year and make sure that the partners in the ecosystem and the solutions in the ecosystem align with your needs if you're a CRIO site. So please do take the survey, and I will stick it in the chat. All right, before we get started with the next session, I've also launched a poll of the feedback survey questions. If that's easier, please do give us your feedback. It's just 2 questions, and there's a box if you have any suggestions for us on how we can improve next year's expo. Please do leave your comments. And we will move on to our last presentation of the day.
Awesome.
All right. Yes. Hi, Rishabh. Rishabh is the CEO of Bond Trials, of Bond Health. So feel free to take it away, Rishabh. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. I'm just going to share my screen. Just want to make sure everyone can view it. Can you all see it?
Yes, we can.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, so nice to be here. Nice to meet all of you. We are Bond Health, and we help dramatically improve how your patients are recruited for clinical trials. And we do that by maximizing enrollment and patient outreach. So I'll start by showing you this Reddit screen where you see all of these different sponsors trying to get an understanding of where you are with your enrollments. And I think none of us want this. Of course, we want to be able to be on top of our enrollments, make sure that patients are actually coming in on time. So I'll begin by giving you numbers from an actual site that we've seen in the past, right? So we reduced the chart review time that used to once take 38 minutes per patient, now takes 4 minutes or lesser, right? Uh, when a patient first visits the clinic, their data goes to the HR, the HR is updated, and usually what happens is that information, that patient is then contacted 12 days after they may become eligible. So we bring that down to 1 day because we can do it in real time. And then lastly, for the screen failure rate, the last thing you want is for tons of patients to show up as eligible. You call them up, talk to them, and then you realize, okay, this patient was actually not the right patient for you because they don't meet the eligibility criteria. So we don't want those screen failure rates. For that side, it was at 34%. We brought it down to 5%. And of course, like this is not every single site, but that there are sites that have seen these kinds of results. And essentially for us, like the biggest advantage of having us is that we reduce that screen failure rates for you, right? Uh, and the way in which we do it is basically we get all the information from your EMR. So we use all the charts and we plug into multiple EHRs or whichever one that works for you. We take your information from CRIO and we also take your information from any ads and any campaigns that you already have. And we also have an external partner that could help you set up ads if you don't have them already. And then we take in all those patients and all those leads, and then we qualify them against the IE criteria. So that's once it's done just through that IE criteria and all of the patient information. We also run outreach via voice and text to make sure we could fill in all the IE criteria, learn if a patient is actually able to make it to the screening visit, and then we book that visit into your calendar. And all this information is transferred straight to CRIO. So you get all your qualified booked patients straight into CRIO and it all syncs in automatically, right? And for us, AMR integration is, we want to make it as fast as possible. So we've done it in as little as 24 hours, but we can also do it in 48 hours, 72 hours. So yeah. And then I'll talk a bit about how the process works. It's pretty simple on our end is, essentially for every chart lead that we have, we try to identify if they actually meet all the criteria with evidence cited. We pre-screen them through our agents of like voice and text, and then we schedule them, make sure that they actually are able to come into the visit. And then finally, we take it all the way to the point where the patient is actually randomized and enrolled in that study, right? Uh, for the chart screening, it's pretty simple on your end. One flow is that you just bring in your protocol. So this could also be used for feasibility, for example. You bring in your protocol, we extract all of the structured IE criteria. For the structured IE criteria, we're not just extracting the criteria as it is, we're also looking at, for example, which criteria needs to be asked at a screening visit or which criteria could be evaluated through the patient data. So we're able to make that differentiation, right? And then what we do is we're reading through all the data. So we're reading through all the structured data that the patient has, along with all the unstructured data. And if you have any external vendors that have patient labs and things like that, we could connect to that and bring that in as well. And then what we give you is a rank list of patients. So, we'll score every patient based on how many eligibility criteria they meet, and not just their eligibility criteria, but also things like how far are they from the site, based on how many visits are required for that study, how often they've been communicating with the site, because we don't want you to just have patients that meet the criteria. We want you to have patients who will actually complete the study because you don't want that drop off. You want higher retention, right? And then for each of the patients, we also give you evidence for each criteria as to why they're meeting them and why we've picked them from the EHR, right? And more importantly, we also do one important thing, which is if patients miss a certain criteria or if they're really close to matching another trial, we put those patients on a wait list. So if a new visit or a lab comes in that actually makes them eligible, we promote them automatically. So all of this is just to optimize the number of patients that are coming into your funnel, right? In terms of outreach, it's pretty simple. We have our AI voice outreach and our text outreach. It's all, I think the important thing here is that it's fully compliant. So, for example, different states have different laws on when patients can be contacted, how they can be contacted, what are the different opt-out methods and things like that. So we ensure to be 100% compliant on that end. And then we make sure to answer all your IE questions and we bring it down to fifth grade reading level when we're actually talking to patients, because that's what we've seen to have the most impact. And then one more important tip that I think we learned is that whenever you're sending that initial message, it's helpful to also send a flyer of the study. So, and there are a few things that we've learned how to optimize that outreach. So we make sure to do that for you so that you get the maximum reply rates. And of course, every conversation is logged. In terms of therapeutic areas, we've done the whole gamut: neurology, oncology, infectious diseases, cardiometabolic, you name it, right? In terms of the studies we've run all kinds of studies in the past. So that includes, all kinds of cardiovascular disease, chronic hepatitis, colon cancer, lung cancer, and Alzheimer's disease. So a lot of studies all across the board. Yeah, and I'll show you a quick demo of, something that we've done in the past. Let me just open up my screen to share that. Just a second. So I'll show you one flow of how we're basically getting patients into the pipeline, right? So this is an example of, the dashboard that you will see. You'll see all of your trials over here. You can basically add in a new trial by just adding a protocol. So this could also be used for feasibility, basically. And when you drop the protocol, it's basically just gonna, so this is an example of a 114-page protocol. You add it in. Once you add it in, what's happening is it's going to start reviewing that protocol. It's going to parse it, and you'll get all of your criteria. So it's pulled out all the criteria very accurately. And if you click on this button, for example, you could see exactly where the criteria is coming from within that protocol of yours. And then it also segregates it into like a valuable criteria from the EHR, whether it requires a screening visit. And then once you confirm it, basically, it starts screening all of your patients. So these are all of your leads coming in from all the different sources, right? And it just creates this massive inbox of all of your leads. And then when you go and you could see, like, for example, this patient, you'll see all of their criteria, which ones are met, which ones are required a screening visit, which ones are not, which ones don't have any data. You could see like EHR level evidence of why that patient is meeting the criteria, right? You could also text that patient. So you could also like have all of the relevant screening criteria to text that patient. You could call up that patient. So for example, it stores the transcript and everything for that patient once the call is done. And if there's anything that requires, so usually you could do this manually, but sites like to run it on auto mode. So we let it run on auto mode. But what we do is we have an inbox for you. So this inbox ensures that any patient that's coming in, just any reply, anything that needs your reply goes straight to the inbox. So you can get a notification the moment it requires your attention. And then we also, for example, give you reports of, how many patients match, how many qualified, what did not match, so that you could use it for your feasibility questionnaires and things like that. But yeah, that's basically quick demo. Before I leave, I before I'm done, I do want to leave you with something. So uh, I do want to share our site advantage report. So this is tons of metrics and insights on how to maximize and optimize your trials. So feel free to use the QR code to get any answers and get any awesome, data points on how you could run those trials.
Thank you, Rishabh. Any questions for Rishabh? Please drop them in the chat. Rishabh, what types of sites are you primarily working with?
Yeah, so usually what we've seen is we've seen sites that are more like site networks, which have like multiple clinics, multiple like providers that they're working with. So then, they require integration into multiple different EHRs, and it proves the most valuable because they can then congregate all of their patient data in one place and make sure recruitment is running well in all places.
Are there specific EHRs that you only work with?
So we work with the whole gamut. We work with eClinicalWorks, Epic, Sono, Athena Health, Veradigm, you name it. We worked with all of them.
That's great. Wonderful. Okay. We'll see if there's any more questions at all. No? All right. Well, thank you so much, Rishabh. We appreciate it. All right. And then, oops. Give me 1 second before my screen is frozen. Andrew will launch our feedback survey. I would really appreciate if you guys could give us your feedback on how we can make the expo better next year. Thank you so much, Rishabh. And before we preview tomorrow's sessions, I think it should be launched. If not, the survey is in the chat. Any way that you take it would be great. We'd just love your feedback. I've just re-chatted it. All right. And then day 3 is officially a wrap. So we've had 4 incredible sessions, 4 more partners that were showing you exactly how they're making CRIO sites run smarter, more efficiently without adding burden. That is the key differentiator to any other vendor in this space that is not a CRIO partner by plugging into the CRIO site workflow. So thank you so much for spending your morning with us. Let me just recap what we covered today. We heard from OMNI CRS. They opened up by showing us how to get high quality leads into CRIO without touching your tech stack. Then we heard from Coreforma, followed with a fully managed CRIO services team that they offer, and they can do your operations and your study build and invoicing and payments. And then Accelerate Recruitment Services walked us through AI-powered recruitment end-to-end from first contact through enrollment. Bond Health closed us out with a full end-to-end patient identification and conversion support model, clearly, again, syncing directly into CRIO. If you've been with us the last few days, then hopefully you're connecting the dots on the partner ecosystem, hitting the full site workflow, the full site life cycle, finding patients, converting them, running your site more efficiently, and growing behind the business behind it all. So whether you're a site thinking about where the true gaps in your operational workflow are, or if you're just here again to get some education on what some of the leading site providers are, given a very saturated market, hopefully this was helpful to you. On deck tomorrow is an exciting day. We have Beck Health. They're going to show us how automated chart reviews surface your site's best fit patients straight from your EHR. Todata Analytics brings real-time data intelligence on your site network wide data, including CRIO data, and that's using the Partners Program new direct data access capability. And then we'll hear from Strotus Health. They'll take us through the full AI-enabled recruitment support journey from feasibility to conversion. And then E4 Health will cover the implementation and PM support to help CRIO sites ensure that you get your CRIO rollout right the first time. And then we close out the entire expo tomorrow with CSRS on how rural and research naive sites can build an infrastructure to compete for and win more studies. So 5 more partners tomorrow, 1 more day. Your last shot at the most efficient and effective look at the leading site tech and service providers in the industry, in the CRIO partner ecosystem, of course, and your last chance to get your questions answered on the spot by joining live. After tomorrow, you'll walk away with a full picture of the various ways that the CRIO partner ecosystem is fueling high-performing sites. Thank you again for an amazing day 3. Please give us your feedback with the link in the chat. It's literally just 2 questions in just a couple seconds. It'll really help us shape next year's expo. We want to hear from you. You'll get an email with the recording so you can reference back. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and we will see you tomorrow again at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll stick around for a minute in case anyone has questions or anything. The feedback survey is on screen, just 2 clicks. Thank you for those of you who asked really insightful questions today. Bring that same energy tomorrow. Bring your questions, preview the agenda. That's what it's there for. That is the structure of this. This is your expo. We want you to get the most out of it. So bring your questions tomorrow. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will close out today and see you tomorrow at 11 Eastern.